Another 2014 release that I've been anticipating for a very long time, and it is finally here, and I finally get to talk about it. I'm Chainsaw, and this is my review of the brand new studio album from Whitechapel entitled Our Endless War. I am so glad this album is here, because I knew before any of the singles or anything like that this album was going to be amazing, because so far in Whitechapel's career, the first 4 releases, now we're on number 5, that the first 4 albums were amazing. At this point, I'm going, what are they going to do? How are they going to top the last album? What are they going to provide to the fans? Well, the one thing that I took away from Our Endless War that I automatically heard from the very start as I heard the full album for the first time, it already clicked. I already understood what exactly this band was trying to accomplish. They were trying to take what worked for previous albums from Whitechapel. They took the things that worked, that the fans loved, and what they did was they built on those concepts and added a few new concepts into the mix to bring us another amazing Whitechapel album. And I feel like that this was accomplished. Of course, this is just my opinion, but at the end of the day, I keep listening to this album. I have it on repeat every day for over a week now, and I just keep saying to myself, they succeeded. This worked. This album is amazing. It sounds great. The songs are amazing. The emotion, that's the word that really came to mind, that kept coming back to me as I kept listening to this release day in and day out, just listening to it and hearing every little bits and pieces of the bass, the guitars, the drums, the vocals, the lyrical content from Phil. That word came back to mind. Emotion. The emotion in this music is just powerful. It's aggressive. There's some monumental moments within this album that just have this epic vibe that you just can't get out of your head. These words, these just monumental, epic. These words just keep popping in your head when you listen to this music. You're going to going, this is Whitechapel. This is the same band that put out some brutal releases. This is Exile, A New Era of Corruption. And now they're here writing the same material, but they're adding more to it. They're adding more elements. They're basically bringing more ideas and fresh new ideas into the mix of what's already working for them. They're basically expanding their horizon, expanding the sound, and expanding the concept of Whitechapel. I think the biggest key thing that really stood out for this release is that each song on this album, in a sense, overall the big picture, all of the songs are written differently. That there's no 2 songs in this album per se that have the same type of idea to them. There are some, you could say, some key moments, some, sections here or there that may sound similar idea-wise, but for the majority of this album, the band has stated this, and when they stated this, I knew that they were setting themselves high for the high bar of where the expectation is high now, because they mentioned every song on this album is different. And when they said that, the expectation was high. Is it true? To me it is, because each song has a very unique way of going with it. The main focus could be just the guitar parts. There are some songs like that. There are some moments where it's Phil's vocals, not the lyrical content per se, but his vocal performance, to where he's really driving the song home, driving the songs to where they need to go. And then there's some other songs where it is focusing more on, the majority of it is his lyrical content, to where his lyrical content is what's the most important thing about the song. And usually you could say, well, that's all songs, it should be, but there's some moments where it's the actual music behind the lyrics is what's the most important thing. But for me, it feels like all of these songs have a unique purpose. There's no song on here where I'm going, it's a filler. All these songs just sound amazing to me. Now, I will have to say that I do have some personal favorites, but overall, at the end of the day, my favorite songs are just my favorites. It does not mean that, these songs are filler. I just have some personal favorites, but overall, all of these songs, even the bonus tracks that I do recommend, if you're going to go buy this release, which I highly recommend you buy this release, because I'm definitely going to buy it when it gets officially released. I'm going to be buying the special edition, because the 2 bonus tracks are just as amazing as the actual 10 tracks on the standard edition. My favorite tracks are Rise, which is the opener. This is something that I noticed. On previous albums, they've kind of had, piano with the self-titled, and they've had kind of an epic intro to kind of open up the first song, but they actually have a song dedicated to just being a intro, where it's this really epic, just guitars like slowly fading in, and it has this like epic vibe, like Oh, they're setting us up for something. Oh my God, what's gonna hit? And then bam, it slams into Our Endless War, which is, of course, now one of my other favorites, which is the title track. Our Endless War, as soon as Phil screams in your face, let's go, you know you're in for a ride. The Saw is the Law, of course. Mono, which is great as well. Worship the Digital Age. That song features some of Phil's lowest growls, and basically his vocals go as like pretty low, and that song is probably the lowest he goes on this whole entire album. And so that's a song definitely worthy of checking out if you're looking for Phil going to low growls. But we'll talk about that in a second, as people have brought that up about these singles. How Times Have Changed, Blacked Out, Diggs Road, and of course the two bonus tracks are Process, So Familiar, and Fall of the Hypocrites. But back to Diggs Road. I do want to talk a little bit about this before we go to the actual band members itself and talk a little bit more about the sound and all that. But Diggs Road, there is these great, I think it's 3 parts of Whitechapel, basically the making of Our Endless War, which I recommend you check those videos out if you haven't. And there, I think it's the 3rd part, it could be the 2nd part, I don't remember, but anyways, there is a section where Phil is talking about his vocals and his lyrical content on this album, and he talks about Diggs Road, the final track on the album, track number 10, and he says that Diggs Road is probably one of the most, or the most important song he's ever written, which is basically lyrically wise, because Diggs Road is a road he lived on when he was very little, and basically the lyrical content is about his experiences and his thoughts when he lived on that road and during that time of his life. So he wrote about that, and he said the words that I've been thinking about, the same word, emotion. He put his emotion into that track, and I felt like he did that with all the tracks, but that song was especially special because, of course, it ends the album. It has this monumental, epic ending vibe to where it's closing out in another amazing release from Whitechapel, but it really takes it that step further. But to see that he put so much of his thoughts and so much of his personal stuff and personal life into this track lyrically, and you can definitely tell he put up a lot of emotion vocally into that track, let alone the rest of the album, but especially in Diggs Road, that this song definitely has a special place in his heart, and a special place for him as a musician. So I took that to heart, and I took that as a thing of where, wow, he really put a lot of himself into it, and it's one of my favorite. It's probably one of my favorite tracks. It's pretty close to being my favorite song on the release, but that was really, really cool to see that the final track on this album wasn't just another final, track to end the album. It meant a lot to him. So that was something I really wanted to talk about because he talked a lot about that. Now let's talk about the actual personnel itself and talk about the sound. Now Phil Bozeman, of course, Phil on lead vocals. Now, there was a lot of talk about when they put out The Saw is the Law and Mono as single tracks a little while ago when they were putting them out as singles, that throughout the whole entire 2 songs, there wasn't a lot of low growls that Phil was doing. It was, middle and high screams. And so there wasn't really too much low, and people were going, oh, can Phil not do lows anymore? When you listen to this album, you're going to go out and just, come from the album, come back and go, yeah, he can still do his lows, and he's really good at them. The fact is that when he and the rest of the band were doing interviews and saying that each song sounds different, he approached it differently with his vocal style, and he said that within these making of videos that he didn't want to just go as low as he possibly could. Now on the song, which I want to make sure that I don't mess it up, Worship the Digital Age, wanted to make sure I didn't screw up the title, that he does go pretty low. The beginning note he hits vocally is just really, really low, and he does do some low growls, but he said that he didn't want to just go as low as he possibly could on past releases. He wanted to actually put more emotion and more thought into his vocals than just, okay, how low can I go? So that was pretty cool to see how he had this change of mindset for this release. But I feel like overall his vocal performance is amazing. His lows are amazing as always. They're epic. His middles are great as well, and his high screams are what they should be, top notch. And so he did a top notch performance vocal wise, and his lyrical content, like I said, is very emotional. He puts a lot of himself into these lyrics, and there's a lot of anger, a lot of hate, and of course what we'd expect from Whitechapel. There's just a lot of variety, and there's just a lot of talk about, like I said, anger and hate. So there's nothing missing there. So to the people that were saying, oh, he can't hit his lows anymore, obviously, because the 2 songs we heard from a full album says it all, right? That's no. I was tired of people doing that argument. Well, he can't do his lows anymore. These 2 songs don't really feature it. If you listen to the full album, you're going to say, well, okay, I was wrong. He can still do lows, and he's amazing at it, and he still is. And my God, I wish I could do it. I can't. I wish I could do his vocal style, and I can't. Let's go to now Ben, Alex, and Zach on lead. Well, Ben is on lead guitar, and Alex and Zach are on rhythm. One of the very few bands to have 3 guitarists. And so, once again, these guys are bringing the power to this album, rhythm-wise and lead-playing-wise. Now, I did read, and some people were saying on my Saw's the Law track review, that there is a special guest playing some guitar solos and playing some guitar work on this album. My cheat sheet that I'm looking at to basically bring you this review is not telling me who the special guitarist is. I'm going to look him up and make sure I put him in the description to give him some recognition. But I did hear a couple of solos that sounded like the one on the Saw's the Law that people have said is his special appearance as a guest soloing for that song. So I'll have to give him props. It did sound really good. But anyways, the majority of the guitars, let's just go back to the sound of the guitars. The rhythm playing is massive. The sound, the guitar tone is what you'd expect from Whitechapel. There is no really change, you could say. I guess you could say that it's more crisp and more clean, to where you can actually hear the changes while they're playing the rhythm sections. They're tight. They are heavy to the extreme like you'd expect. So there's no debate there whether if they're, changing their style. They still have that heaviness there. The lead playing and the melodies that they actually do is it's kind of far and few between, but at the same time, when you hear these lead playings, whether it's from the special guitarist, a special guest guitarist, or if it's from one of the guys, that it just sounds epic. The Diggs Road, once again, going back to that song, has some amazing guitar solo. There's an amazing fast-paced guitar solo that really fits along. It's kind of melodic in a way, and then the song slows down, and then they have this epic, slow, melodic guitar solo that just brings it back home, and it's just like, oh my god, the solo is just to die for. It is so amazing. Keep doing solos like this. Keep doing this, Whitechapel. And it was just another amazing song that kind of just had this epic solos, and it really, the solos really driven that song home. But I feel like the guitar playing on this album is top notch. For me, it feels like it's a step in that they're basically, stepping up their game. They're really adding more to the guitars each album. They're really trying to enhance their guitar playing. They're trying to make it more technical in a sense, but also kind of, not try too hard. So I feel like that the guitar playing overall is just to die for. It's something you'd expect from Whitechapel, and it is top-notch work there. Now let's go to Gabe on bass. I feel like his bass guitar, once again, you can hear it. At the same time, it feels like that his bass is kind of pulled back in a sense, but if you got good headphones on, which I have been listening to this album with some pretty good headphones, you can hear the bass that's coming through the mix, and he's really playing some heavy-hitting bass riffs, and I feel like that he's really doing a good thing here by enhancing these guitar sections, really heavying them up with the bass guitar. So I have to give props to Gabe for doing that, and I feel like that he did a good job, and his tone, the bass tone, was great, and it fits well with the guitars and drums and everything else involved. Ben on drums to finally close off. His drumming technique really fits with Whitechapel. I feel like that his drums really did enhance these songs. There were some sections where he's blast beating and going crazy, and there's some sections where he's pulling it back and not doing too much, but he's still keeping that beat, and it's keeping it interesting. And I feel like that obviously he could have went in different directions in certain sections and did different things that kind of did this and this and this, but I feel like that his playing, like, he knows what to add and what to basically enhance and what not to enhance, and I feel like that he's a good contributor to the band, and I feel like that he is doing a good job. So I gotta give props to him for basically keeping the band in time and keeping them in beat, and actually knowing when to enhance sections and when not to, because obviously he could do too much and it would just not work. But overall, I think that Our Endless War from Whitechapel is another amazing release. I can't wait till the next album. I just can't wait. I'm already anticipating it. So, Our Endless War, I'm going to have to give it a 10 out of 10. That's just me. I feel like it is just another 2014 release that I'm going to keep repeating and listening to forever and ever and ever. So, that's my thoughts on Our Endless War. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the album. I'm Chainsaw. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked the video, like the video. If you want to see me or more of my stuff, click my name or subscribe to see more Wretched. Anyways, talk to you guys later. See ya.